Okay, so basically, I want to close this. So basically right here with the crosstabs, what you can tell them that you are looking at two different questions, and those are your variables. So you would
Mm-hmm.
select one or the other. So you can do, how much did you spend versus what they, how they rank. And so what online crosstab is just looking at the correlation of two specific questions and how they answer those. And so you create an online crosstab to review basically, if you were to, combine these two, what's the relationship between these two answers? So
Yeah.
you want to be able to ask questions like, are people that spend more money on chocolate, do they rank certain things higher or lower? That's how you would position this type of question. So, you know, you can look at, very specific things about the question and the answers itself. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why people want to do crosstabs. They want to know, if someone ranks a certain type of chocolate a much lower, then how much are they spending? Maybe there's, those, so you can write reports and say, you know, those people, that don't spend a lot of money don't really like dark chocolate, So those are some of the things that you can, the respondents or the clients can write when they review. So by looking at this, they'll be able to see, what the frequency looks like.
Yeah, so
Um,
how do you read that?
um, the chi-square is not showing up here because
You
it's a
had a
ranking question, so don't
okay.
believe that it matters. Most of the time when people are looking at these values, it's just, based off of a different when we and actually a lot of these it really doesn't make too much sense because we do look at it from like a 1 through 5 plus, from left to right kind of thing, so it doesn't always apply, but as long as people know that, we the way that we set up values for, each question is always, 1 through 5. So if you're looking at, say for instance, just your standard survey, um, so I'm going to go back just a little bit to show you that, and this manipulates everything if you change it. But anytime you set up a survey, the very first one is automatically given a value of 1, and the one below it is 2. And you'll see that it's the same thing. So this is a value of 1, coffee, tea is 2, chocolate would be 3, ice cream is 4, cake is 5, and then none of the above. We just put that as 6 for right now. So our system, what it does, it automatically calculates one, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus. And so when you are running a report from across tabs or even from, doing the scales and all that stuff, those numbers are pulling those values into there. So and you can change those values if you are changing. If you go in and you do changes of the, you do configure analytics and you want to change the scales or the value for each of those, instead of saying 1, 2, 3, you want to give it a, a +1 or a -1 score, you can go ahead and make changes to the score. And a lot of the times that what you're seeing in these reports is just they're automatically calculated up to where you would see mostly the average and stuff like that. So the crosstabs, whether or not they want to use it, is up to them. But the way that I would, would say is that, obviously with crosstabs, the greater percentage of correlation between the two, the better the correlation. You can make a strong statement to people. So does that make sense to you at all?
Okay. It does, yeah. My biggest thing is if you want to click on create online crosstab again,
I'll see if I switch to
and my
different.
where I came into a problem is actually explaining this grid right here, the cross tabulation frequency percentage. How do
Mhm.
you read this grid?
This
Like I
grid,
have no idea how to.
Yeah, this grid is it's kind of confusing, but basically it's based off of the answers that were taken from the people who've taken the survey. So what it breaks down, the first thing you would look at is the breakdown, like of the people who selected coffee as one of the items that they purchase, 62 or 0.5% has, they say they spend about $10 to $20 on chocolate. So you can run these um, tabulations. So you're looking at two questions. So you're looking at, which food items have you purchased in the last month? So this is the entire thing. And then on top is how much do you spend? So you can run and say, 65 or 63% of the people that took the survey, they they buy coffee and they spend about, $10 to $20 on chocolate. So that's what you would run. And you would say the same thing for the 20 to 40 dollar people. 25% of those people that buy chocolate or coffee spend 20 to 40, and so on and so forth. So that's the first thing that you break down.
And
The
what's that
row
zero,
total.
5, 2? That means 5 people, 2 people, 1 person, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
And
okay.
then right here, the row tables is just basically an average calculation. It doesn't look very average, but it looks at it from the entirety. So you're looking at a row total, but a lot of
Okay.
times the row total really, it just looks at everything as an entire thing. So these are everybody that picked something. So you'll see. So you're looking at the entire average there. But this is breaking it down, very specifically. So does that make sense there?
Yeah.
And remember too, Gretchen, that this can only be done on one specific survey, so we don't have the capability to run this cross tabulation across multiple
Yeah,
surveys.
I know. Are
Okay.
they working on that though?
No,
No,
obvious, no.
but maybe one day we'll have it. One
If
day.
there's like a big need for it.
That's pretty badass, so I've never really looked at that and understood it,
Hmm.
but
See, that's
now
just it. This is what
I
I need
could
to
see how
do.
powerful it would be, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, so like in these again, in highlighted in blue, they're pretty much the average. So you're looking at large ones. So
Makes
I'm
sense.
hearing echo. So
Uh,
I don't know. I mean, as long as you're okay with that, it's gonna be in the recording.
I don't know why that's doing that.
I don't hear anything.
I think it's I don't know. I think it's because you have yours on, Josh. If you put your stuff on mute, maybe it will stop. So yeah,
Okay, hold on. I'll put myself on mute.
just to try it.
Oh,
Okay, so can we just go down the row here on reports and
okay,
kind of
one, two,
go
three.
dig deeper?
Which one here? Or
No, on the left-hand side.
right here.
Like market research, turf, all that stuff.
Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and so underneath which one here or
Yeah, like
which one you want to look
data
at?
segmentation, trend analysis, turf, and then if we can go into um, analytics too, just because it's like I understand what all of them do, like I understand what cross tabulation does, but I
Hmm.
didn't understand how to read those reports.
Okay. Yeah, so the data filters, you guys know how to do a segmentation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have an example here that I'm only targeting people who spent $20 or more on chocolate. So I set that segment up based off of the responses in the question. And then I'm running then what you can see here is you'll see the report option. So you can run a summary report or you can download an Excel based off of the specs that you're looking for or PowerPoint, whatever. So you can
And you
run,
set that up already, right?
yeah, this is
Okay.
pre-set up. So when people select on this, they'll see that these answers are based on that specific that specific specs. So the report that they are seeing is only applying to those who purchase $20 or more of chocolate. So that's how you would read this as. It's not an entire, we're just looking at a very specific segment, and then they can review that. So it would be the same for all other specs that they set up. And then from there, the good thing you can tell them that, if they need to download just this segment, do some further analysis, they can. Or if they want to include a time filter, if they want to look at this segment but based off of, different dates and time, they can. And then also if they want to do some, online comparisons, they can. I'm just going to run one just for fun. And then what that does is that it compares both of these answers side by side. So, and then they can review. So if they want to do online comparisons, men versus women, or different locations, or different things like that, they can do that from this particular tool. So those are the main PowerPoint, power, I guess, points to doing segmentation, is to really dig down into the survey, and for after they set these up, they would be spending the majority of their time accessing a lot of the options from inside here. I wonder why my computer is
Okay.
running slow. Um, if you run a trend analysis, basically, let me see. I don't know why my computer is running super slow right now. It's waiting for something. Um, just one second here. So if you run a trend analysis, you can run trend analysis on segments as well, if you would like. You can also filter out, so these are just some of the segments that you saw earlier. The only issue with segment reporting is that, you'd have to make sure you filtered out. There's no way to actually set it up where it's automatic. Well, actually, you can set up something that's automatic, and you can do that later. But the trend report basically allows you to filter out the data according to, whatever dates they want to look at. If they just want to look at completed surveys and whatnot, you can set that up and set up a frequency in terms of how you want the data presented to you. So do you want to look at it from a quarterly basis, weekly, or monthly? So that's up to you. And then you can also specify here whether or not you want to review the trend in percentage, which is the default, or if you want to look at some detailed stats. And so that will include, mean, confidence interval, standard deviation. I've been finding that a lot of people don't do that. They just stick with the percentages and then they download a trend report from there. And then they can just review and see what the differences are, from month to month or week to week. How are they doing on certain things? So that would include, how they answer certain questions or if they've completed surveys, that kind of stuff. This tool will grab it from there. Do you guys have any questions about that?
Nope, that makes sense.
Okay. So this is what the trend report looks like. So it breaks it down according to each of the weeks, how it changes, and it looks like it's an overall percentage that is given in terms of different changes between
Hmm.
each of the questions. So below that is configure analytics, and basically I don't really spend too much time over here. I'm not sure, you can run and show statistical data and run a report, but I don't know too many people that actually do that. What a lot of people do from inside here is they do a lot of custom scoring options. So what that means is that, you would go inside, configure the report, and from inside here, they can change certain things. So if you're talking about the mean and confidence interval, whatever, um, from from before, what we had done is that it automatically gives this number one and this number two. Oops, let me just change this. Let me get out of here. You can change some of the scaling. So if you want to give it a different scale value, you can.
So
So it'll
basically,
change
it
the
can manipulate
calculation.
the data in a way, right?
Yeah, so instead of seeing the mean as a 1.5, it will change it. So if you want to give it a 5 and a 10, it'll change the numbers. And then if you want to do, an ad hoc search filter, this is only if you want to allow people to do like a spotlight report or look for certain things. It really doesn't do much, really, and it just enables it. You don't have to do anything there. And if you want to change the mean calculation, how it's being calculated, you can go ahead and take those out, or you can update. It's either yes or no, whether or not you want the mean or not. So, and it always
Okay.
defaults as that. And then here's where you can add some custom scoring logic. So you'll see the Net Promoter Score top down score, and you can review more about that here with what is the Net Promoter. But then again, Net Promoters, Vivek had told us, was scoring from 1 to 10 on a lot of things. In this case, it doesn't really apply, so we don't need to worry about that. For this type of question, for like a male to female question or a question about multiple choice, most of the time people would just go in here and change like the inverse scale. That's their main thing. And then you can review it. You can also add, clicking on here, adding to dashboard will allow them to have the admin allow them to see the changes, or the dashboard account will be able to see the changes that they've made to these numbers and stuff. So you can see that.
Okay.
And then let's see here. For turf analysis is still kind of new to me too. I don't actually know too much or know too many people that do that. The basics of it is that you would run it's basically a top-down reach, and each particular tool does something different. And you can you can see, which tools are, being used the most, or which uh, what is it? So attributes are being selected the most, so you can calculate that automatically. It's actually, the way I see it is that turf analysis is actually a lot easier. It's just being able to explain it is really hard. So, if you run a top-down reach, you'll see a graph here, and what it says is that actually out of all of these, with the different options, actually ice cream is really popular among this group. So there might be an opportunity to work with these people on not just a chocolate study but also another study as well. It's very popular. So you'll see that we have, down here you'll see just the different kinds of reach, and it's very hard to explain, what exactly the reach is, but it's basically, what is their minimum reach, what's the maximum reach here, and this is those who've completed the survey, and then we just count, all together what those are. So basically, it takes in, the calculation is, the raw data itself is those who've actually picked all the different things, and then they've and so that's why you see like these numbers are pretty high, even though their completion rate is low, is because they're selecting more than one thing. And turf analysis only applies to multiple choice select many type questions. So or select all that apply. You don't see the turf analysis option available for any other question type. Um, And then you can also go through and run an analysis. So if you want to put together different combinations and see how that runs against your current data, you want to know, like, how are they going to do? What if I sell these two items together? How is this going to react? What is your market share? So we just automatically calculate that. So if we, combine some sort of chocolates with coffee, and based off of the people that have taken it, how many people are going to want to select an option with these two. That's kind of what you would get from it. And then we also run a simulator. Let's see here. And a simulation count, you'll see we only have it from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, or actually it's up to 6, right? Yeah, it is. And the simulation count here, you'll see that, if you read this, it's kind of weird. So again, it does look at the maximum reach there. So it basically will review, how out of the people who take in your survey, how likely are they going to choose it if they only had one choice. So if they had two choices, what is how they're going to react. If you gave them more choices, how are they going to react to choosing those particulars? So say for instance I ran something with two choices. If people were given two choices, what would they do? So running down here, you'll see again with the different combinations, we we calculate on top here, what is the maximum reach, and then in terms of what they would select, and then these are the other options that are below. So these combinations you'll see. Do you guys have questions about this?
No, this is good for me, and then I'll probably review the video and kind of practice it myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically what you can tell people is that, it gives you a simulation based off of the responses that you've taken. How are people going to react if you gave them two options? What are they going to do? And so you can
Yeah.
see, originally you can tell them in standard research, people actually calculate this on their own using Excel or SPSS. And we make it a lot easier. We literally just have people click buttons. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
times turf analysis is actually overcomplicated. It seems really hard, but actually it's very easy. It's just being able to analyze the data. Most people
Yeah.
that come in that are researchers, they already know how to analyze the data, so it shouldn't be a problem. You
Yeah.
just need to show them how to use the tool. The price modeling, price modeling here, you can give it, you can run a budget and give it a tolerance level, so you can do plus 10% and give it, a different weight for each of these options. And what you can do is, you can run, numbers and see, if you were to change pricing for certain things, how would they react to it? And so you can run and see what your audience or how they would respond to a certain thing. I'm not sure if I had set it up correct though. I guess I didn't. That's my fault. I think it's because I did it out of
That's
a
okay. I have an
100.
idea of it.
Yeah, I think it's because I took it out of a 100. I think I need to actually run it a little smaller. Line optimization is looking at a minimum reach, like if you just want to know what your minimums, like if you want to say, well, out of the respondents that I've surveyed, I want to know, what I need to charge in order to get at least, 50% market share, or I need to get at least, 30% chocolate or something. So you can run a run some different costs, and then specify what your reach is, what you want to get your reach minimums are. And then once you have selected those, I'm not sure if it'll run with these weights, but we'll see. Might. What you need to do to make that happen. So in order to cover, you'll see here that, cake wasn't selected very often. So, in order to reach at least 10% or more, you know, you just have to charge $1 or something. 40, 10, $1, and then, 43% will select cake out of there. And that was based off of the 48. These are just the people these are the respondent numbers. So you can say, 48 people out of everyone who's served. If you run a minimum and you charge this price, this is what your market share would be for that particular tool. So that's turf analysis pretty much in a nutshell. There's still a lot more understanding I'd like to learn as well, so I'm just waiting to bring in someone who really knows it to help train not just myself but everybody. So probably trying to do a webinar on it so I can learn a little bit more myself. So that would be
Mhm.
really good. But that's just really what it is in a nutshell. Whether or not people would use it is another story. I don't know. I actually know very few that use it. They use it very little. So, and it's mostly market researchers that are using it. So most of the larger companies that I work with don't even touch it.
And that's not available with Question Pro, right?
It is actually.
Turf analysis is.
Yep.
I thought turkey wasn't as well.
What?
I
Ev-
thought it wasn't, but
It is. I mean, it says it on the brochure that it's not, but it really is. Which, and it's gonna stay there because the market research firms. I would say most of the people that are researchers come in and they like to use that tool. So taking it out of Question Pro would be really hard because a lot of the researchers can't afford Survey Analytics, but they can afford Question Pro, and they really like that tool. And so
yeah.
a lot of the consultants that work with us use that tool, and I could definitely say a lot of the large companies don't.
Mm.
So that's why I would say they're going to keep that over there. I mean, we're pretty much the only survey company that has turf analysis on Question Pro or Survey Analytics. Nobody else has even tried to use it. So, I mean, I'm really going to try to promote it and, and see, tell people why they need to use it. So hopefully we'll get a lot more traction, and then from there we all can get a lot better explaining what it is and how you have more examples and more relevant examples to show you.
Mhm.
Any other questions about those, or it's 9:31, but that pretty much
Yeah,
covers all
so
the report stuff.
yeah, that does. Can you click on analytics?
Sure.
Can we do another quick meeting maybe next week, just going over analytics? I just like the fact that it's recorded and I can go through and kind of, I just want to go through weight and balancing, conjoint and max diff again. And I mean, I understand it, but I just kind of want to hear it again.
Yeah, we can do that.
Do you think we could schedule that for next week?
Yeah, we can. That would be no problem.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, just
And
give
then
me time.
also can, oh, sorry. I was just going to ask you, Esther, once either this meeting is over or something, I just had a very quick question on a Net Promoter module, whenever you're ready for me.
Okay. Well, we can talk about it now. If Gretchen, if you have to leave, I can actually keep it on record so you can hear this part.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, so if we go into surveys,
Do you want me to be under
and
Depth
then
101?
just any survey, whatever, it doesn't even matter. I'm just curious about the actual question type.
Okay.
So just click any.
Wait, hold on. Let me get out of that one actually.
And then add a question. Um,
Where is
and
it?
then just go to it's under advanced.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
all the way in the bottom. How come you click view sample?
I just wanted to see if anything were going to show up.
Okay. And then click save question. And when I did this for the NBA, I could have swore that I had it so it was like uh, multiple questions in the same column. So it like said, considering your complete experience with the company, how likely would you recommend our products to a friend or colleague?
Hmm.
I thought there was more, like you could add more lines to that.
Not for Net Promoter Score.
Why did
So
I think that then?
yeah,
I
it's
could have
you
swore
should.
it was like a matrix or some shit.
Yeah, it's a matrix table. So to go back in, you can always check to see what kind of question type you used, and you'll see it on top here
Bye,
usually.
guys.
Um, bye. So yeah, it's not Net Promoter Score. What you did for them was the matrix table. So you picked one of these things. So I'm just gonna see if there's any examples, so I don't have to write it. So usually the reason why I click view sample is because it'll show up with the template, and then I don't have to write one up because it'll show up what they've written.
Okay.
So that's why I usually select
So
it.
Net Promoter Score, and then are there more questions for the Net Promoter Score, or is it just how likely are you to um, recommend our company to somebody else?
I mean, you can go in and make changes to the
I
question.
thought there was, but won't that affect the reporting then?
No, because
I guess I
these,
just need to see like an example of,
well, under Demo 101, I put together a customer satisfaction survey, which includes this in there, and we should be taking it. I've asked you guys to take the survey so we have some data in there. So you want to make sure to go in there and see, you can see the reporting of that particular tool. But in this case here, I mean, the only thing you can do is change the question text and then also set up the detractor and promoter, which is, this side and then this side. But the 0 to 10 is set in stone. Does that make any sense?
yeah, that reminded me I needed to call MBA. Cool. I just thought for some reason there was multiple rows that asked different questions. I could have swore on. I'm gonna actually go in there really quick with you on the phone or with you on the line here.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah, let me just look at the settings here. I don't think.
And now it's going really slow.
Okay. Yeah, I would say for the Net Promoter Score, it is definitely just one question. I mean, you could include another one, but
I swear to God, it looked different. Hold on one second. I'm pretty positive.
it could be not just the multiple choice. You could have picked one of the other ones to underneath the matrix table.
It's not it. Surveys.
Yeah, so find out what question type you used on
Here
that
it is.
survey.
I found it. I found it.
And what kind of question type did you use?
Can we change the presenter?
Yeah, just 1 second here.
Okay, I'm showing my screen.
Wait, okay, yeah, I see it.
So this one. Isn't this a net
Uh,
promoter module?
yeah, let me see. Go ahead and click on edit. No, you're using the SCI, so Secure Customer Index. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So that's not Net
Okay.
Promoter.
Customer index. Okay. Excuse me. So the secure customer index is almost better than the net promoter, isn't it?
No, it does different things. Let's see here. Oops.
Okay, so all right. So basically, this is only available with Survey Analytics.
Yes, it is.
All right. I just got them confused. I got Net Promoter Score and Secure Customer Index confused.
Okay.
So, I mean, just to benefit myself, this would be far superior to Net Promoter Score because this is available only with our enterprise license, so I have to try to upsell this as opposed to the Net Promoter Score. Okay, that's good shit.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit. All right, I wonder if he went with Qualtrics or what.
Why? What did he say?
I just went to the Qualtrics website and it said that MBA was their customer.
Oh, really?
Hopefully, I don't get an email back from him saying, screw you.
Yeah, I would say that the main difference between the Net Promoter Score and the Secure Customer Index is that the SCI looks at three different components. So you're looking
Yeah,
at whether or not they're satisfied with your tool, whether or not they'll rebuy, or if they'll recommend. And you're trying to make sure the holy grail is the people that do all three.
yeah. Instead of just one, instead of,
Or not just one, but if if they're pretty low on satisfaction, they're definitely not going to repeat, they're not going to recommend. So there's a big correlation between those three
yeah,
items.
okay. All right, I think that's a good thing to know. If somebody's asking about the Net Promoter module,
Hmm.
just say, well, actually, Survey Analytics has the Secure Customer Index that analyzes three different questions rather than just how somebody would recommend the product or service to another uh, person that they respect or value. So,
Yeah, I
okay,
mean, I wouldn't say it's far superior, but it is an option that you want to say, you should run this because there's more options and things that you can look at.
okay, that sounds good.
Alrighty.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your help.
Okay. Well, good luck with the MBA. I hope we didn't lose it. I feel really bad because we worked really hard on that.
Um, I know, I know. I'm sure we didn't. We'll be fine.
Cool.
Alrighty, I'll talk to you later.
All right.